Alright, so if you don't know, I'm a Star Wars fan. I care about the franchise. Yes, I know, cringe in today's era, but it is what it is. Now, I do love Star Wars, and today I just wanted to make a video about kind of the not good direction Star Wars is heading into. And now, don't get me wrong, we've been in a rough direction for a very long time. But this is not looking good, you know? So today we're just gonna get into this video here. Shout out to Star Wars Theory right here. I watched this video. This is a great video. I recommend every Star Wars fan watch it if you're concerned about the future of Star Wars. However, yeah, I do recommend this video, but we're gonna get into this video. I'm not gonna play the video. I'm just gonna talk about the summary, and then we're gonna get into the Star Wars movies that are announced in the grapevine, and then we're gonna get into some problems we're having with some of these Star Wars movies. But to start off, if you don't know, the head at Disney has just stated that the most valuable character in Star Wars to them is Rey, and valuable is the key word there. Now, basically, they're trying to push Rey as a person. And listen, no hate towards the actor. The actor's been saying some not great stuff, but listen, hey, every actor can be their own person. But she's basically like one of those, series gets too much hate, this, that, and the other. Oh, I like this part. Oh, I like being a character, when it's like she doesn't know the actual story of the character. She says she doesn't know the actual story of the character, and she's confused by it, and then after all is said and done and she's paid millions, she's then like, oh yeah, that character was actually really well made. But you yourself, acting as the character, didn't know who you were, your backstory, your motive for doing anything, your training, which is something Rey doesn't really get to experience. And that's kind of the problem. Disney is investing a lot into Rey right now. A little bit to the later articles, we have stuff about movies, basically alluding to just a Rey movie, or just flat out announcing just a Rey movie. But the problem I have right now is that there's so many good characters in Star Wars, and they're choosing to use the shit ones to represent their company, we'll say. I think Acolyte's a great example. Yes, hey, hand on the Bible, I have not watched it yet. Do I plan on watching it? Unfortunately. But because I do plan on watching every Star Wars media. However, every single clip I've seen from it makes it look like Star Wars is a fucking joke. All the characters are very annoying. None of them seem interesting. At least if I see a Darth Vader clip, I'm like, oh shit, he's a badass, Oh shit, he strikes fear into his enemies, If I see an Obi-Wan clip, it's like, okay, this is the wise oracle. He's getting something going here, If I see R2-D2, C-3PO, that's the, like, comical aspect, I'm not seeing, Osha and May, I think their name is, and being like, wow, these are there, Like, I know they're supposed to be Jedi assassins, but it's a little bit of a joke. But this video basically goes in a little bit more detail on all the things that the head of Disney is basically saying. The head of Disney has also been just... Oh, man. Like, they've been saying that basically they have no reference material, no source material for Star Wars, and they've been just developing, like, a whole new universe. But you have the comics before Disney acquired Lucasfilm, you have the trilogies, you have Clone Wars, you have so many different media outlets you can look to. It's literally like if the lead at Marvel was like, yeah, so we don't really have a lot of source material on Marvel, my bad, Iron Man, so we're just gonna go off the rip here and make Iron Man a black woman, Crazy if that happens, just saying. But yeah, it's basically that, where it's just like, whoa, like, this is completely not what's supposed to happen at all, You're having Iron Man do fucking dimensional rifts in the cosmos and, surviving space without a suit, shit like that. It's just, weird garbage plot lines that are happening in Star Wars right now that nobody likes. Not a single person who actually has their own individual brain cell enjoys, right? And if you do enjoy this stuff, hey, listen, there are hospitals near you, I'm sure. But, no, if you like it, you like it, but the vast majority of the population doesn't like it, and you can't just ignore the vast majority of the population. You know, that's kind of how the world works. You know, you could have the best product in the world, but if only one person is buying it, who the fuck is gonna invest into your company where only one person is buying it? Do you know what I mean? So I care about the health of Star Wars. I care about the future of Star Wars. And for them to just, like, kill off all these older characters, like a Han Solo being a dumb, bumbling, gambling idiot in his old age, like a Leia who's useless and basically leads 4 resistance ships in the entirety of the series and then randomly dies. I get it. They're no longer with us in the final film. I get that, right? But, like, do something with the character. You had them in 2 films and they did nothing. You know what I mean? So you had that, you know. And then you have Luke absolutely butchering the character to raise Rey, and then Rey just does nothing, and Kylo Ren's killed off. Like, there's no saving it. You have shit characters. The barely tolerable characters that are alive right now are Finn's kind of obnoxious, actually. Chewbacca, but they haven't done anything with him, and he's old as fuck at this point in the series. And then you have probably Poe Dameron, which, other than the cringy parts in the 9th film where he was trying to get with Leia and then get with that other bounty hunter and then fight with Finn over trying to get to not Leia, sorry, Rey. Just okay. It's just weird. And then Rey being a Skywalker / Palpatine is just dumb as fuck. Yeah, the plot lines are just dumb right now. They're terrible in Disney. I'm upset with it. This video encapsulates it a lot more. Star Wars Theory talks about this a lot better than I ever could. However, I just want to get my 2 cents on this. Basically, Star Wars is, oh, well, Rey's our only good character right now, guys, so we gotta invest everything we have into Rey. That's basically where Star Wars is kind of making their case for their future movies. Now, getting into the future movies, now we do know of the Mandalorian movie coming out, but there's a bunch of movies announced. One of them, they're still working on the Lando movie, apparently. Then there's talks that there's a standalone Rey movie. So, on top of a rumored trilogy that's being in the works for Rey Skywalker, yes, you heard that correctly, they'd want to do another 3 films, so we're looking at episode 10, 11, and 12. I know, I think I might just jump into a bath with a toaster after hearing that, but listen, we're getting a standalone Rey movie, guys. It could be good, you know? Now, do I think Star Wars is just fucked? Like, do I think they've actually just fucked themselves? You know? They're giving themselves a reach around and they can't really do anything else? Kind of. There is ways you can sort of fix episode 7, 8, and 9 being absolute utter dog shit. And if you don't know, I've done my ranking on those movies, and I do think episode 9 is the worst film in history. Yes, I have watched the Borderlands film. I know. Listen, I was on a help hotline for a long time, you know, let's just say that, after seeing that fucking movie. But then watching this, man, gee, I can't believe I made it out of the ER room, alright? Let's just say that. But, yeah, big problem I have with Star Wars right now is, yeah, we're getting a Rey standalone. Lando's been in the work for, like, almost a decade. Which is supposed to be the main character of Donald Glover. Fine Lando, but, like, no one really wants to see it, especially after a lot of people don't like Solo. But on top of that, yeah, there's a few movies being announced, and there's a few movies being worked on. Probably more to come. This is concerning, though, that they're announcing the 9 new Star Wars movies announced. But the problem is that they stated, not too long ago, I believe a couple months ago, they stated at Lucasfilm that they wanted to slow down a little bit on the Star Wars content being produced, and instead of just massively outputting Star Wars content. They're focusing a lot more on individual Star Wars content to make it a little bit better, to not have Ki-Adi-Mundi in an episode that's 100 years too young for him to be fucking around. You know, shit like that. Just normal, not lore-breaking shit that should exist in a film. Just normal, immersive things in a film that makes sense, you know? Spacefire. Putting out Spacefire is just, you know, just there, I guess. Just shit like that, you know? And I think that's what's important, because I'm really worried a lot of these new Star Wars films are just gonna do the same old, just input Marvel script into Star Wars actions, and that's pretty much all they do. You know, you have the hero gets imprisoned, or something bad happens to them, or they come from like a bad area, and then, oh, they get put into the spotlight, and then it's like, oh, they go through a training montage, and then, oh, that training montage leads to the final fight, and then the final fight happens, and whoa, the hero wins against all odds. That's all Star Wars is now, you know? And you can't really make the same argument for back in the day, you know? Back in the day, it was, you know, you had build-up in 3 films. You didn't have, you know, beginning there was an enemy and a weak hero, and then by the end of the film, it's a strong hero, and the enemy loses. You don't have that for 3 episodes every time, you know? You had a Luke Skywalker growing up not know what to do at all, you know, and by the end of the first film, you have Obi-Wan dead, and everyone else is like, oh shit, like, what do we do, you know? Death Star may be down, but, you know, they're searching for them, and they've got the heroes on the run, you know? So you look at Episode 2, you find out what happens. Like, you get what I mean? Like, there's plot. There's reason to care about these storylines. They're not all just the same wishy-washy stuff. And it's almost the same. Like, episode 1 and episode 4 are completely different, even though they serve the same purpose. They're the beginning of someone's story, you know? At the end of episode 1, you got to see someone you thought to be the Oracle, the teacher, end up dead, while also having the villain who kills him end up dead. And then you learn, oh, okay, this is much bigger because there's someone lurking in the shadows. There's still a big bad, you know? It's just, man, I miss old Star Wars. But anyways, yeah, so we got a bunch of movies announced. Some of them don't look very promising. Some of them kind of look like they could cook, you know? We got Rogue Squadrons, you know? That could be okay. I believe they've even moved some of these shows. I think Orlando was going to be a show, but now it's being moved to a movie. So stuff like that being in the works. So you love to kind of see that there's hope, you know? There's still the Mandalorian movie coming out, guys, you know? But moving on from that, we also have the trilogy losing the main screenwriter. Now, to my knowledge, from all the stories I've seen and heard, it seemed like what was going on is that the lead person, their name is something Knights, Stephen Knight, the main person, who is apparently doing the Peaky Blinders movie, I believe, could have done like the show. I don't actually know. But if they're doing the movie, right, I would say that's a high level, like, this person knows what he's doing if he's being accepted to do Peaky Blinders movie. If you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, it's a great show, fantastic show, literally 9 out of 10 bare minimum. And I don't like live action. Let me get that to you straight. I don't like live action films. I think it's kind of hard for me to be immersed into a live action film, just because I don't really, like, I just see everyone as actors. But in Peaky Blinders, it was really well done. I liked every part of it. You know, definitely had a weaker season, but then had some strong seasons. Ending was pretty good from the final season. I think this movie is supposed to end off what the series is. Now, that means this guy has a decent level of trust amongst the big name that Peaky Blinders is. Now, with that being said, my knowledge is that he would finish the script, or whatever it was, and he would send it to the head of Disney, the old woman. Let me just remember. Old woman head at Disney. Once I see her name, I'll know exactly who it is. Is that right? Who's the head? Dana Walden. Is that it? That doesn't sound familiar, though. I don't know. Whatever 67-year-old woman's the head at Disney, talking about all this Rey garbage, saying that she's the most important character, all this other shit. Whoever, oh, no, it's not there, never mind. But whatever the case may be, he would send script to head at Disney, who's under, who's supervising the film or whatever, and the trilogy films, and then she would put her own little notes, send it back. He would have to rewrite it. He would have to make it in her image and then bring it back, and then she'd be like, nah, it's still not done. And from the sounds of it, I believe this guy's been going off on Twitter, but he's been leaking some stuff, and effectively, he just keeps on getting turned down, and he just kind of wanted to push himself away from it, so he quit, effectively. So I think they're still looking for a scriptwriter. They might have found one to do it. I think they actually did, but I can't remember their name. However, like, losing a Peaky Blinders screenwriter here, I think is kind of big. Peaky Blinders is, like, narratively speaking, fantastic in my opinion. Having someone like that, who even has, like, the trust to carry on the torch from that, this guy could have cooked. Like, this guy could have done a lot with the series here. But we're looking at another trilogy with another shit screenwriter, I believe. Because I think the screenwriter is going to be like a former screenwriter of the company or something. I can't remember exactly. However, it does just seem like it's going down a path where we can't follow anymore, you know? And that's kind of the sad part. There was a time where Star Wars was this big name, where everyone knew what Star Wars is. You'd go to school, you know, as a young kid with a Star Wars lunchbox, or a Star Wars keychain, or a Star Wars fucking figure, Lego guy, anything. And everyone would know, oh, that guy likes Star Wars. Oh, I also enjoy Star Wars. Let me go over there, hang out with the Star Wars guys, you know? It was this big name that encompassed a large portion of at least my childhood, you know, and I'm sure a lot of other people's, especially if you're, you know, in the 20s-ish range. So it's just crazy to me that we've killed Star Wars so much. And if there's anyone defending the final three episodes, the episode 7, not Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, I can't even remember the other one, I'll be honest with you, because it's so fucking shit. But, Last Jedi, maybe? Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, I think it was Last Jedi, was it? What was episode 8? Let me just look this up. Episode 8, Star Wars. It was The Last Jedi. Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker. So, there was a time before this era of Disney Star Wars where Star Wars had aura, you know? It was going to be this generational thing. It was going to be the Dungeons and Dragons. It was going to be the Warhammer, where this shit is just going to last forever, you know? And the fans are going to be addicted to it. But lately, it's just, we're getting acolytes, you know? We're getting Mandalorian Season 3s, you know? We're getting shit that just doesn't mesh well with Star Wars and is clearly just trying to promote an agenda about society. Like, get it the fuck out of media. I'm tired of it, you know? And if you want to say inclusive, blah, 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 Star Wars has always had black people and fucking gay people. It's always been there. C-3PO was gay, I think. At least, you know, the actor definitely comes across. I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. But my point is, oh, Star Wars doesn't have diversity? It's literally about going to alien planets and discovering new races. In Season 1 of the Clone Wars, you get introduced to an entirely new race of the, they're the Snow Wookiees. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. But basically, you discover that they have intelligence, and what happens when, you know, they might be primitive, but they still have a level of intelligence. Oh, well, they gotta be recognized as fucking humans. That's a great thing to... This is diverse, you know? This is what happens when you find things you don't understand in the galaxy, you know? That's a way to teach kids, number one, you know? Just because it's the first time you saw, you know, someone wearing a hijab doesn't mean they're a complete other species, right? It's like they're still people and you gotta still respect them, you know? So it's a good way to teach that, but it's also not affecting real world, you know? It's not affecting my child growing up and my child's gonna go on to fucking be forced to learn all these different things going on with the respecting pronouns and everything. And I'm not going to get into if that's good or bad, but my whole point is that it just has no place in media. It should just be a good film. That's all it should be. And a good film has to have a clever plot line, has to have good characters that make sense, not characters that, oh, for the entirety of the entire universe, all Jedi have had to learn how to use the Force, had to learn how to use a mind trick, and it took them years to develop. Rey just thinks, the Force would be crazy to have right now, wouldn't it? Do my bidding, you dumb stormtrooper. Like, we're all tired of that. We just want a good Star Wars film. That's why Rogue One was successful in terms of the eyes of the community. People genuinely like Rogue One now. And that's because it aged well, because it doesn't have the shenanigans that was going around at the time. You know, insert nostalgia here. It's just so depressing what Star Wars has become. And it's literally like the easiest free layups. It would have been fine if the series just kept a normal pace with characters that at least had development. You know, if you had Kylo Ren, maybe copy and paste it 100 times, and then actually gave him a more compelling reason than, oh, Darth Vader, probably would have gone well for all the characters. But unfortunately, we just have dry characters, or we have characters trying to sleep with the main character in Poe and Finn, or we have characters who are just inconsistent as fuck, like Finn. We have, you know, in one episode, he's this concerned guy who doesn't really like being a resistance fighter, and then the next episode, now he still doesn't want to be a resistance fighter, and now he's emotional over everything, and now he doesn't care about what's going on except for his friends. Like, it's terrible plot writing. It's so bad, you know? And I think it really is indefensible, but all I wanted to say is that Star Wars is definitely headed down a terrible road here. I'm really disappointed in the way that Disney is handling Star Wars. You know, shout out to Star Wars Theory. I do think this guy's the GOAT when it comes to Star Wars content creation. Just in terms of, like, quality and objectivity, and, you know, this seems to be really bad, you know? A lot of people don't like Ahsoka. Star Wars Theory likes Ahsoka. There's things that I disagree with Star Wars Theory on, but listen, he's still one of the GOATs of the space. That's all I'm trying to say, you know? Him and his little butt chin he's got going on there, you know? His cheeks he's got on his chin. I'm not talking about the ones on the sides, you know? Just saying. Anyways, a little bit of joking there, but yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to get my thoughts and opinions on the Star Wars shit going on, because this is disappointing and depressing from all angles. Star Wars is truly headed down a path which I cannot follow, but I will follow because I have to follow, if that makes sense. But yeah, just disappointed from Star Wars. I expected better from Disney. Like, you have source material, you have Legends, you have Starkiller, you have former games that just need to be remade, you have shows that could just be remade in live action, like the Clone Wars. It's so many free layups, but they keep on fucking throwing it in the dirt. It's crazy. But maybe we just need to retire the 67-year-old lead at Disney. Who would have thought? But yeah, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching this video, making it to the end. If you don't know, I do daily uploads on things I'm passionate about, and I started streaming recently, so you can come by pretty much every day and have a little chat with me if you disagree. All disagreements are allowed, but if you want to glaze me, I'm not gonna say no. You know, I'll say that much. But yeah, anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching. As always, I hope you have a good day.